Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
The Institute for Justice is back in the news out of Ohio, and Andy sent me this. I'm sure a lot of people will. Law firm demands end to local villages' hidden speed ticket fee. And this is a fascinating one. Peggy Gallick and Ed Gallick wrote this for WJW and the Fox 8 I-Team. Now, action for drivers trying to fight back against speed cameras is something they've been working on. And now a public interest law firm has just sent a letter to the village of Peninsula suggesting the village is sending out tickets just to make money. Now, the letter to the village, I suspect, is what you call like a shot across the bow. It's a warning. It's a suggestion. You may want to double check what you're doing before these things get out of control. And I'm an attorney, and I file lawsuits on behalf of consumers who've bought bad cars. And occasionally someone will call me and say, Steve, can I get you to write me a letter? And I go, why? And they go, well, I want you to write a letter to somebody and threaten that you're going to sue them. And I said, as a matter of principle, I don't do those. If I think someone's got a good case, I'll just file it. And the problem is if you start sending out threatening letters in a small community like consumer protection law, people will go, hey, this guy writes letters, but he never follows up on them. So you can ignore the letters. But also, when you write a letter and somebody doesn't respond, now what? And then I feel kind of bad because I took your money to write a letter and it didn't do anything. And quite often, warning letters don't do anything. However, I suspect when the Institute for Justice sends a letter and says, just to let you know, what you're doing here is wrong, somebody is going to look them up on the internet and go, oh, these people are serious. They file lawsuits and they will litigate, if necessary, all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. They've been to SCOTUS many times. And they're serious. So if they send you a letter, you want to read it and pay attention to it. In particular, the Institute for Justice is singling out the process of requiring drivers to pay $100 just for the opportunity to fight their tickets in court. Now, the IJ is based outside of Washington, D.C. They wrote to village leaders that Peninsula violates the constitutional rights of drivers, making them pay a $100 fee just to contest a ticket. You shouldn't have to pay $100 for the right to see a judge. And when the fee is $100 and the ticket is $150, alarm bells. That's Bobby Taylor talking to the I-Team. In the first 6 months of using speed cameras, Peninsula, Ohio, issued nearly 9,000 tickets. Those get mailed to drivers weeks after they were clocked speeding. If this is really about public safety, why aren't they pulling drivers off on the side of the road? Why are they charging $100 just to contest the ticket, says Taylor. Already the I-Team has shown you drivers furious over getting charged money to fight. And as you can imagine, you get a thing in the mail that says you owe this money, pay it. And if you want to fight it, you got to pay us $100 first. So just last week, the I-Team reviewed 600 tickets. Nearly half went to drivers at 11 miles over the speed limit. And that's exactly the speed when Peninsula starts sending out tickets. They also saw extreme speeders not pulled over, not even for 31 over. Those drivers also simply got tickets in the mail. Now, some people are going to say, but Steve, if you're speeding 11 over or 31 over, you deserve a ticket. Oh, absolutely. But if you're speeding 31 over, that's a little more serious. In many states, that'd be reckless driving. There are some states that'll lock you up for that. You could spend time in jail. But they mail you a ticket and say, if you want to pay it, pay it. If you don't want to pay it, pay us $100 to fight it. Pay this fee, see? So Peninsula officials have never agreed to speak to the I-Team on camera. However, they put in another request with the law firm, now asking questions too. For starters, the Institute for Justice demands an immediate end to the $100 fee to fight a ticket. What this does, it essentially puts the right to due process behind a paywall, Taylor said. The organization could take legal action if necessary to address what's happening with those speed camera tickets. Taylor added that the Institute for Justice is a nonprofit, public interest law firm that has a long history of fighting abusive fines and fees programs. And she said individuals who feel their constitutional rights have been infringed can go to the website and contact the Institute for Justice directly. But this is a great example of one. And I've talked before. For example, class actions. Okay, you got ripped off for $1. Are you going to sue over $1? Probably not. So you find out that thousands of other people were likewise ripped off for $1 by the same entity. Now, somebody can file a class action on behalf of all of you and try to get you all your dollars back, right? And there's issues, I understand that, but you at least get the concept, right? You get the concept? So here's a situation where Peninsula, Ohio is hammering out these speeding tickets issued by machines, which, again, Skynet's coming. And they say, oh, if you want to fight your ticket, you got to pay a $100 fee. You got to pay the $100 fee just to get in front of a judge, which is weird because there's no other situations where that happens, as far as I know, where they say, oh, you want to get into the courtroom? $100 just to get in there and put your name on the docket. $100. So what are you going to do when you have this thing in your hand, this postcard and thing, and says, okay, you owe us this speeding ticket of $150, but if you want to contest it, you got to pay $100 first. Most people are going to go, well, gee, I'm out $100 if I contest it, and I don't know if I'm going to win or lose, or I just pay $150. Most people are going to go, it's not worth it. That hurdle is large enough to keep people from doing this. And so the Institute for Justice is stepping in, going, no, to us, it's a principle. Could someone file a class action lawsuit on behalf of all these people? Sure. And for all we know, that could be the form this takes. But I assure you, as certain as I am that the sun rose this morning and will set tonight, I assure you that if Peninsula, Ohio doesn't do away with this $100 admission fee to the courtroom, that the Institute for Justice will take legal action, and they will make it stop. I'm going to go, see, that's two things. I'm going to go out on a limb, though. They are going to take legal action, and they're going to make it stop. Now, I could be wrong in the second one. Maybe they'll fight that all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and SCOTUS will say, you know something, it's okay to charge $100 to get in the courtroom. Guess what happens then? So I don't think that's going to happen. So I am reasonably certain, again, carve it in stone, that if they don't back down and stop this practice, the Institute for Justice will file the litigation and litigate it until the cows come home. And I think they're going to come up on the right side of this one as well. That's what I think. So I've mentioned it before. Institute for Justice is a wonderful entity. It's a nonprofit. They're based near D.C., but they handle cases nationwide. And they do great work. But they're supported entirely by the generosity of people who believe in what they're doing. So visit their website. I'll put a link in the description below the video. Visit their website and just look at what they do. If you find it in your heart to donate, please do. If you don't, just bookmark them and check them from time to time, because some of these stories will blow your mind. And I've done a lot of videos about stories of their cases because they're that interesting, and a lot of them are mind-numbing. You know, I mean, and I could just, the civil asset forfeiture and the qualified immunity cases are huge as far as our rights go. But some of the other cases, I mentioned before the guy and the gal who wanted to open up a U-Haul business downtown, and the local people said, oh, you can't do that. The local city council said, you can't do that. That's too ugly of a business. We think U-Haul businesses are too ugly to have downtown. There was the guy who had the mural painted by students over his donut shop. And the town said, you can't put up a billboard like that because it's just a decoration. It's a mural. They go, no. That's commercial speech. That's regulated. And you see these stories, and they're fascinating, but the Institute for Justice gets involved, and they quite often get good resolutions. And a lot of these situations are the ones where the people in power in the city know that, oh, no one's going to fight this, it would take too much money. No one's going to take us on in a constitutional issue involving whether or not a U-Haul business is ugly or whether or not that mural should be regulated. And then the Institute for Justice shows up and people are like, oh my God, we might have problems. And so they do this work because it's important and no one else will do it. No one else will do it. Most of the people who are behind the eight ball in these cases couldn't afford taking the case, through federal court and up on the Court of Appeals and then to the U.S. Supreme Court And we talked before, those kinds of cases can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to litigate. And so a lot of people have situations. And here's one, and this is still early. This is still early. But the Institute for Justice has sent a letter to Peninsula, Ohio, the town, letting them know that the Institute thinks that fee they're charging to get into court, just $100 just to get into court, is wrong. Is wrong. And they should probably change that. And we'll see what happens. Because like I said, I generally am not a big believer in the threat letters. But I think the Institute is different because someone's going to pull this up and go, the Institute for Justice. Have I heard that before? Oh, they have a website. Let's take a look. And they're going to type it into Google and hit enter. And the response is going to come back with all these huge cases they've handled and the huge results they've gotten. And somebody at that town is going to go, you know something, guys? We're going to lose. We are going to lose. So, again, my bold prediction that if the city doesn't back down, 1, IJ will file it and litigate it, and 2, they will win. So there you go. Andy, thanks for sending it. Law firm demands end to local villages' hidden speed ticket fee. Peggy Galick and Ed Galick wrote that, and WJW and the Fox 8i team published it. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Tact is the ability to describe others as they see themselves.